Hi, welcome to the Dairy Hour podcast, where rural charm meets personal growth. Join us as we milk every moment for wisdom, self-improvement, and mental wellness. I'm your host, Val Lavigne, a rural dairy farming mom with a passion for filling hearts while never forgetting to fill my own cup. Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering tips, and a splash of fun and laughs, of course. Let's cultivate growth, nourish our minds, and embrace the journey together. This is the Dairy Hour podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air and the inspiration you need to be your best self. Hey, Dairy Hour listeners, if you're enjoying this show, leaving a review is the best way to help us grow and reach more people. Plus, I've got a little thank you for you. Snap a screenshot of your review, message it to me at DairyGalVal, and I will be sure to send some fun Dairy Hour stickers your way. Thanks for supporting the podcast, and I cannot wait to mail you some swag. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Dairy Hour podcast. I am your host, Val Lavigne, and I am joined by Michelle Miller. You may not recognize the name at first, but if I said the farm babe, I bet you would know who I was talking about. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm great.
Good. I'm so excited to have you on and hear about how you ended up being the farm babe because, it's not just every day someone grows up to be the farm babe. So you are the ultimate. So if you want to start off by just kind of telling us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know who you are.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. Michelle Miller, the farm babe on social media. I'm an advocate for agriculture. I'm a social media influencer, keynote speaker, author, podcast host, and an all-around advocate for agriculture with that myth-busting twist.
Awesome. I love it. And I know that you currently have a goal to try to speak in all of the states, correct? What's the update on that?
I'm up to 43.
Awesome. So
yeah.
Call out the states you're looking for?
Well, we're working. New England needs to step it up. All right.
Look at that. Neighbors.
Yeah. Like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, like all of there. And then like Delaware, Rhode Island, Connecticut. It's mostly in the Northeast. Tell your neighbors to step it up indeed. I have spoken in New York, so maybe not quite. What town are you in again? Schaghticoke? Iroquois
Indian name. It is.
You're the coolest. You are the coolest person I've ever met from Schaghticoke.
Thanks. That means a lot.
The only person. I know.
Well, a couple thousand of us,
Yeah. Bigger than I thought.
So, Michelle, I want to take it back to you as a kid. Where were you born and raised?
I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin girl. All right. And, what was life like for you growing up?
It's just standard upper middle class, blue collar family, nothing too crazy to report. It didn't come from a family farming background. My friends were farm kids, and so they got me involved in agriculture at a young age. We were in 4-H, and I did, rode horses and did chores every day after school. So there was definitely a big part of me that was involved in ag, but didn't come from a family farm background.
Awesome. I have to ask, just because I ride horses too, what did you do? Just plain riding, or did you do something specific?
Just Western pleasure. Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy, but that's good. I didn't even know you grew up riding horses.
Yeah, a little bit.
The cool people all grow up riding horses.
I love horses. Absolutely. There is nothing better than being around horses and cows. Like, there's just something so calming around being around those big animals,
They're definitely better than people.
I agree.
So you grew up and you were involved in some local ag activities just because you got involved from friends.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came time to, go off to college, what were you thinking there?
Yeah, I started off, I did a year at University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, my hometown, for a year, but quickly realized that my music performance major might not be the best path because it is very difficult to get a job as a professional clarinet player. So I moved to Los Angeles and got a degree in visual communications from like a fashion school, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. And I worked for Gucci on Rodeo Drive.
What?
Yeah. So pretty much the opposite.
That's amazing. So you just had an interest in fashion that you decided to pursue that way.
Yeah, I did. I wanted something different in life and just kind of did like a random Google search of like places to go and different careers and just was trying to explore like things I liked. And when I found FIDM, I called and they described the visual communication program. And I was like, let's do it. So I worked in fashion for a while after college.
That's amazing. So you were working at Gucci and, what were your ties to agriculture besides obviously maybe selling some items made with hopefully real leather?
Yeah, exactly. Really not much. I was really immersed in the Los Angeles lifestyle. I ended up moving to downtown Chicago. I worked for Saks Fifth Avenue in downtown Chicago. And so my ties to agriculture became more and more distant. And it became, I was really learning more about like food labels. And I watched that movie Food Inc., which is so full of crap, but I didn't know that it was. And so being in LA and Chicago and having a personal trainer and being in these urban areas with people that were really conscious of diet and exercise, they were all like, oh, you have to go gluten-free, organic, non-GMO, make sure you're doing cage-free eggs and hormone-free chicken and antibiotic-free meat. And so that's really what I believed. And after living in downtown Chicago for a while, I just got really fed up with the big city life and the traffic and the cold weather. And so I moved to Florida, became a bartender on a white sand beach in Pensacola Beach. And through that, I ended up meeting a farmer. Farmer Doug was on vacation in Florida. He hit on his bartender and it actually worked. And the next thing I knew, I was moving to Iowa for love and became a farmer with him. So that was my tagline, rodeo to the rodeo.
What kind of farmer was Farmer Doug?
Hold your applause, corn in Iowa.
Hold on.
What a shocker.
Corn in Iowa.
I know, right? Corn.
So you fell head over heels for this farmer.
Yep. Corn
and about
soybeans. Yes. Corn, soybeans, and cattle and sheep. And yeah, so I moved again from Florida to Iowa and became a farmer with him.
And what year was this?
2014.
So we're talking 10 years ago.
Yep. And Doug and I dated for almost 8 years. We dated long distance for a little bit. And then I moved to Iowa and started learning more about agriculture and where our food came from. I was becoming a farmer with him. And, he was growing the GMOs and, using the Monsanto seeds and all this stuff that I thought was,
everything that goes against your whole entire career.
Yeah, exactly. It really was. And so it was this come to Jesus moment, I guess, and kind of this light bulb kept going off with him teaching me the real facts and not just what I was misled to believe.
So I have to ask, as you were learning to go from, fashionista, bartender to farmer, are there any fun stories that you remember where you're just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?
Not really. I think part of the reason it was easy to start the blog because so many of my friends knew me from the big city life. And so a bunch of my friends from LA and Chicago had come to visit me on the farm. And I thought that was funny because I was like, you guys, I lived on a beautiful white sand beach. I lived in downtown Chicago. I've lived in all these great places and none of you came to visit me. But now that I live in a small town in Iowa, you all come to visit. And my friends in these urban areas, they are really interested with the farm life because they don't ever get to see that. Right. And so they were like, well, we can always go to a city, we can always go to a beach, but it's not every day we get to go to like a real working farm. And so getting them in the combine and, helping out with chores and helping them, like my friend, you couldn't get him out of the combine during harvest. Like he was just like harvesting everything and loving every minute. And so it was really cool to watch my friends. And then my friend, born and raised in LA, well, not born in LA, but like raised her whole life in LA, watching her on the farm, like, well, what was that? And it's like, that's a cricket. Like, well, what was that? And I was like, that's a bullfrog. Like, they have no idea, like just looking up at the stars, being from downtown LA and realizing that they've never seen stars like that. They've never heard crickets and frogs. They don't know what the country life is at all. And then she's like, well, I watched this documentary on Netflix and I was learning about this cool new thing called no-till farming. And I was like, we've been no-till farming for like 30 years, And so it's just funny to see that urban and rural combination, which is so passionate for me too, because I mean, I know what it feels like to be on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, my tagline is literally rodeo to the rodeo. And so it's been, I think so those are some of my favorite moments of like watching the light bulb moments go on for my friends and having empathy and understanding for what they're going through, because I went through it. And so the more I was on the farm and learning, oh, GMOs are a good thing. We're using fewer and safer pesticides. Like there's no such thing as added hormones in poultry, all meat is antibiotic free. And so the more I was digging in on these food labels and realizing that consumers are just being misled and labeled to death, the more I wanted to advocate for farmers and consumers alike to help people be legitimately educated and not just based on what the food companies or the activists, you know, like the anti-GMO activists are telling us, but really think more subjectively and listen, go to the source. It's like you go to your dentist for your teeth and your mechanic for your car. You need to go to the farmers about farming and not just believe whatever is on a Google search, you know?
Yes. Don't ask the vegans how dairy farmers work because, you know, obviously they don't have any firsthand experience.
Oh gosh, no clue. And
gosh,
that breaks my heart because it's like, I know so many of them are just well-intentioned, but if they took some time to open their hearts and minds and connect and learn from us, there's really a lot of amazing things. And it's funny when things go wrong on the farm and animals are in danger, PETA's not showing up. Farmers are, you know?
Yep. PETA's not showing up to, you know, milk my cows Christmas morning or anything like that. So
exactly.
Yes. So while you were farming in Iowa, you started a blog. Do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, getting that off the ground and some moments in that?
Yeah. So throughout my journey of learning about farming, from actually becoming a farmer, I just realized that there was so much misinformation. And I had come across this food blogger online called the Food Babe. And she was out there.
Never heard of her.
Really? You haven't?
No, I'm joking. Oh my gosh.
Okay, good. Oh my gosh. I was going to say you had to have heard of her, but
no, I've definitely heard of her.
Yeah, she is so full of crap. But she was out there just saying like, oh, you know, these GMOs are just drenched in toxic chemicals. And I responded to her post on Facebook and I was like, look, we grow GMOs on our farm. We are not drenching our fields in chemicals. Please come to the farm and I'd love to show you what we're doing. We really care a lot about what we grow. And instead of engaging with me, she blocked and banned me within about 5 seconds of posting. So then I found a Facebook group called Banned by the Food Babe, which boasts 10,000 members. And so I was just like, this is insane. If the Food Babe isn't going to let farmers talk about farming, I'm going to be the Farm Babe. And that's how it all began. So I started my blog. It'll be 10 years a week ago was my 10-year anniversary.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, thanks. So that was really exciting. But that's really how it all began.
And did you have any experience like writing? You know, it's not everyone can just start a blog and kind of go that way, or was it just kind of a trial by error?
Yeah, I mean, my writing and speaking experience is something that I've always really enjoyed. I mean, I started writing like little articles and books as a kid. So I think writing and, you know, English class and all that was always a big part of me. I was on stage my whole life, whether I was, you know, singing or dancing or acting, doing pageants. I ran for Miss Wisconsin and did a lot of pageants through like high school and stuff. And so being on stage and speaking and writing was always a pretty big part of me. So starting a blog, it really just stemmed from my heart of realizing how duped I was and how duped a lot of consumers are. And I was just like, I just want to help clear the air. And it just came naturally. But then people started reading stuff and things were going viral and I was getting a lot of compliments and it really just grew organically from there.
Awesome. So take us to the next part in the story. So you are with Farmer Doug in Iowa. You've got a blog. You're now the Food Babe, or not the Farm Babe, because of the Food Babe banning you there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, how did things progress from there? Because obviously between then and now, a lot has happened.
Yeah, it was great. What started off as just a part-time hobby as the Farm Babe has turned into a full-fledged business. And when I was on the farm with Doug, his family mentored me into the family business of farming. His uncle mentored me into the sheep. He sold me my first flock of sheep, about 70 ewes, and taught me how to be a sheep farmer. And so that was my business and my brand. And Doug's family were the farmers growing my feed. I mean, and they owned a feed mill. And so I was very fortunate. I was very lucky to have a really wonderful support system. I didn't have any money. So they said, hey, that's fine. Just pay us when you can. Pay us when you sell your lambs. And I paid everybody off and was debt free within about 2 years of buying the livestock and paying the very expensive feed bills. And so, yeah, so it just grew from there. I started doing farmers markets. And so I was also working at a casino. So I was a blackjack dealer. So that was fun.
Oh my gosh, these little jobs that you've had just cracked me up.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a blackjack dealer, high rollers, in Iowa.
Yeah, the reason I'm taking this call from my car is because I'm in the middle of the desert driving to Las Vegas right now. So I'm hoping.
Blackjack, here she comes.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'll play blackjack or poker. I'll do something. But yeah, I was farming and being a casino dealer and running the Farm Babe. And I got my first couple speaking engagements, and that just grew organically from there. I only had about 100 followers when I had a post go really viral that reached 18 million people. And then people were like, what was that?
What was that post?
Oh, it was about how much Roundup we spray on our GMOs. And I just put it out there. People say these GMOs, these Monsanto GMOs are drenched in Roundup. And I said, well, we grow them. And I just did a post that was like, it's 22 ounces per acre that we're spraying. It's less than 2 beer cans on an area of land the size of a football field. And we only spray once or maybe twice a year in the beginning part of the growing season. And I only had 100 followers, and that post went so viral, and it really is what put me on the map. Mm-hmm. And throughout that time, people were reaching out to me saying, can we publish that article on our website? Will you come to our farm? Will you speak at our event? And about 2 years into it, I was able to do it full time. I was able to quit the casino job, and I was able to just farm and run the Farm Babe full time. And then a couple of years into it from there, my career was progressing so much to the point where I really couldn't be a farmer anymore. And so Doug bought my livestock off of me. He's like, look, we're doing this together, but now I'm doing about 90% of the work. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because we were very 50-50 with the workload. But as my career just kept accelerating, I was like, so he bought my livestock off of me, and I still was there to help, and I still was there to do the sales and marketing and the farmers markets. But then, yeah, as we just kept progressing, he ended up buying the livestock. And yeah, and now it's like I've been doing this a decade. So Doug and I dated for almost 8 years. Right before COVID, I broke up with him because he never put a ring on it. And so it's really sad. I know we had a really great relationship, and I wanted to take it to the next level. And he says, well, I love you very much. I want to spend my life with you. I just don't want to get married. And that to me was really hard because he checked every box, and I wanted that with him. But I still am on a quest for a husband. And so, yeah.
Babe.
Thank you, wing woman.
See, we got this. We're just gonna put it out there.
Yeah,
we can title the episode "Farm Babe Wants a Husband."
I love it. The casting producers for that show "Farmer Wants a Wife" reached out to me, and
you should do that.
Well, I know I applied for it, and they interviewed me for it, but they don't want women like me. They want that. Hi, my name's Tiffany, and I'm from New York City, and I just think it would be really fun to be on a farm. And I'm like, well, I actually know how to be a farmer, and they probably wouldn't pick me because it's not good for TV. And I'm 42, so I'm probably too old for those reality shows now. I tried to watch.
They should have you be quote unquote the farmer, except it's Farm Babe Wants a Man.
I know. Thank you. So anyway, the casting directors reached out to me, and they were like, we're looking to cast tall, good-looking single farm boys. Do you know of any? To which I responded, yes, I know all 5 of them. And they're like,
3 of them are married.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and they're like, is it that bad? And I said, yes, farmers aren't single. Tall, good-looking single farm boys get married when they're 20 and they have 100 kids. And there's no such thing as tall, good-looking single farm boys. Somebody prove me wrong. Please, somebody prove me wrong. But then they ended up casting for the show, and then they interviewed me to be one of the daters, and it didn't work out. But so Doug and I are still really good friends, so that's great. I very much appreciate that friendship, and sometimes I go back to the farm to visit and see my cat, Fiance the farm cat. I still get to go snuggle with my little cat and see my cattle and sheep sometimes. So I'm thankful for our friendship. And I moved back to Florida, so right before COVID, I closed on my place. And now I live near Gainesville on a little timber farm, and I've been learning about forestry. And it's been really amazing because since I live right outside of Gainesville, it's a really great area to be because University of Florida is right there. I've got Farm Bureau, FFA. There's so much great research. Gainesville is such a great hub for Florida agriculture, and they have welcomed me with open arms. I've made so many great friends and connections. And now, instead of being in Iowa around corn, soybeans, and cattle, I'm in Florida around sugarcane and citrus and berries and watermelons and tobacco and timber. And there's so many cool, diverse crops that I've been fortunate enough to learn about where I live now. But I still travel. I'm on the road pretty regularly to speak and to advocate. And then as a social media influencer, I get a lot of sponsored content. So getting, partnership with the Idaho Potato Commission or the California Beef Council or something. People don't really understand, I think, sometimes what a social media influencer is or what we do. And it's creating that photography, videos, storytelling, editing, social media content. I mean, it's a lot of work. As you know, I mean, this is how you and I became friends is, like you're Dairy Gal Val. I've been following you for years too. I think
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have to share a quick story with you because, I'm guessing you probably remember it, but at World Dairy Expo, it would have been 2 years ago. And, I'd always followed you and I was like, oh my gosh, she's awesome. Like, I want to, be as good as she is and all this stuff. And I was walking across the parking lot, not the parking lot, but like in between where the food trucks used to be, between the exhibit halls. And in my head, and I think I was by myself. No, maybe my friend was with me. And I was looking and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Michelle. I'm like, it's Farm Babe. Oh my gosh. And then you looked up and saw me and you're like, oh my gosh, are you Dairy Gal Val? And let me just tell you, I was like, oh my gosh, the Farm Babe knows who I am. Like, this is the coolest thing. No, just so you know, that is one of my memories of oh my gosh, someone knows who I am. Like, this is the coolest.
That's so funny. Well, I've loved following you for years. I think you do great content. And I remember that day too, because you were wearing those really cute ear tag earrings.
My little cow head.
Yeah, they were cow heads.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I saw you, you were wearing ear tags, weren't you? Or no?
They might have just been cow spots. I don't know if I have ear tags.
Okay.
If I do, I don't break those out very often. Usually it's
okay.
Who
knows? I just remember you have really fun cow earrings. How about that?
Thank you. I'll take it. I enjoyed the girl with the fun cow earrings. That's my thing.
Yes, absolutely. No, you do a great job.
A moment with you because it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, she knows who I am. This is the coolest thing ever.
You're sweet. Well, thanks. Yeah.
As a busy mom and dairy farmer, I'm always looking for ways to support my family's health as well as my own, and I absolutely love Wonder Cow Colostrum. It's packed with essential nutrients, great for supporting gut health, boosts immunity, and promotes overall wellness. Whether it's for me, my kids, or anyone looking to stay strong and healthy, Wonder Cow is my go-to daily supplement. I have been taking it for a year now, and it is irreplaceable in my daily routine. If you want to experience the amazing benefits of colostrum too, you can use my special code, DairyGalVal, at checkout for a discount. Give Wonder Cow a try, and you will definitely feel the difference.
It's been great. It's been an amazing journey, and it's great to see so many others in ag that are speaking up on social and sharing their stories.
100%, because definitely if you as a farmer or, a specialist in whatever it may be, if you're not sharing your story, somebody else is, and that other person probably isn't going to do your story justice. So
correct.
Little plug of people, if you're not out there sharing your story, somebody else is, and probably not accurate.
We have to advocate. Yes, we have to advocate for ourselves. Absolutely.
We don't need dentists sharing about carpentry or plumbers sharing about, cooking. I mean,
always go to the source.
Yeah. So you are you moved to Florida, which, obviously you don't spend very much time there, and you're, going at it full time, advocating. What are I know that there's some other exciting things coming up. If you want to talk a little bit about the two big ventures that you're doing.
Yeah, the farm cruise is a big one. So I'm doing my first event, and that is February 24th to the 28th of next year. It's the world's first floating farm conference. So really looking forward to that, where we're going to have some farm tours on the islands. I've got 10 of the biggest names of social media influencing in farming to be our headliners. So I've got Shiloh Farm, Farm Fit Mama, Farmer Grace and Gavin. There's Field Rose, Jimmy D. Jones. I tried to get farmers from all walks of life. I even have a Canadian influencer. You may know Leslie Kelly. High Heels and Canola Fields is coming. And so we've got this really wonderful core group of 10 farm influencers. They're going to be doing meet and greets and breakout sessions and panels. One night, we're going to have the utterly amusing themed dress up night where everybody can dress like their favorite farm animal. So chicken suits welcome. So we've got that, and then
I have to pause you on that. I have to share a funny story because Halloween was just a couple weeks ago, and your girl Dairy Gal Val, of course, got herself, which I haven't quite figured out how I have not owned a cow suit until now. I bought myself a cow onesie off Amazon.
Love it.
The trunk or treat. The kids and I really wanted to do a trunk, so we did a trunk or treat, and of course, we had a calf there and a goat there, and we gave out cheese because one would not expect anything but from me. So
yeah,
my husband had the truck and trailer, and he brought the animals home, and my one daughter and my son went with him. My other daughter, she wanted to ride with me, and it had gotten colder as the day went on, so I was wearing my cow onesie still, and it was cozy, and I was not taking it off. So we go to drive home, and I was like, oh, I have to stop at the convenience store. I have to go in. And for those of you familiar with the Northeast, in New York, we have Stewart's, which is like they're known for their ice cream and their coffee and their milk. So I'm like, okay, we have to stop at Stewart's and go in and get milk. And my 9-year-old daughter looks at me and she goes, "You're not going in that cow suit, right?" Oh, I'm 100%.
Yes, I am.
I'm not taking this off. And it was one of those moments where I got to embarrass my child, like I am now that. So we
love it.
It was pretty quiet at the moment, and we go in, and the lady working there, she looks at me and she smiles, and it was right before Halloween, so like obviously she knew that it's like costume, and she turns and she looks at me and she's like, "How are you today?" And I said, "I'm moveless. How about you?" My kid about died. It was the best.
I love it.
As a mom, here we are. I'm in my embarrassment. We're going.
Oh my gosh, I love it. If I was a mom, I would do the same thing.
That kid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My gosh, I love it.
Mortified. It was great.
Yeah. Well, if you come on the farm cruise, you can wear your cow onesie again, and it's family friendly. So you can get your whole family in cow suits if you want.
The next farm cruise, I need to be there. This one is not going to work out, and I'm so sour about it.
Well, yeah, no worries. Maybe for 2026, for 2026, we're looking at that now. And I think it's going to be the 19th through the 24th from Galveston to Cozumel. So I think it'll be fun. Yeah. So I think it'll be fun every year to switch up like the different destinations and ports. Yeah. There's so many farmers in Texas. So I said, maybe we'll show them some love. We're doing Royal Caribbean this year. I think next year we're going to do Carnival. So it'll give people a different opportunity to have a different experience. But it's been going amazing. Farmcruise.com for anybody that wants to book.
We'll link that in the show notes for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do something like that. Actually, you know what we could do? I will give your followers an exclusive code where they can get $50 off. So,
all right.
What would you like the code to be?
You can have your code be whatever you want it to be.
No, for you.
Dairy Gal Val, we might as well make it easy.
Okay, let's do Dairy Gal Val. If anybody wants to use code Dairy Gal Val, they heard it here, which is the name of my PUNcast. Heard it here. Dairy Gal Val gets you $50 off the farm cruise. I will give that as an exclusive discount for your followers.
Perfect.
Just for tuning into your show. Absolutely. So something that's exciting happening. And then, gosh, there's a lot of other things going on. Somebody's pitching me for a TV show. So we'll see if that goes through. It's not a done deal yet, but it's
Fingers
something
crossed.
we're in the works. Yep. And then the other thing is that I have a Sprinter van now. So in addition to, I travel so often, I'm in a rental car as we speak. I'm on the road as we speak. And it's just one of those things that I was like, you know what, if I had a Sprinter van that could just double as my second house / office, it would be amazing. So I actually would have like a nice background because I pretty much live in rental cars and airports and hotels. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my career and I love all the traveling and cool people and different events I get to go to. But so I bought a Sprinter and it's in the process of being converted into that finished second home with my design elements with a kitchen and shower and everything. So it's going to be a second house. And that should be done hopefully by like February. And so then I'll have a second home taking the Farm Babe show on the road.
I cannot wait to see your van when it's done.
Yeah, thanks.
Full tour, full video tour online so that we can check this out.
Yeah, and actually when I saw you at World Dairy Expo this year, that was my very first day that I took it anywhere. And so it was so fun because I parked the van over in the RV parking spot of World Dairy Expo and I parked it right, there's a pond there. And I parked it and I took this picture because I was like, oh, like World Dairy is my very first event I have to come up with a name. If anybody has a name for my Sprinter van, I'm thinking about naming it Foley because I'm literally a motivational speaker living in a van down by the river. If you know the Saturday Night Live reference, you get it.
In a van down by the river.
Yeah, yep. You will be, in your van, motivational speaker. So I think I might name it Foley, but if somebody has a funnier name, I'm open to suggestions. But so, I mean, it's just amazing. And as a keynote speaker, and the reason I love sharing this story is because it's like, I hope it inspires other people. One of the big questions I get asked all the time is like, oh, are you nervous? You know, how are the haters? And I mean, as you know, probably too, like anybody's going to have some type of detractor, but it's such a small percentage of it. When you open your heart and soul and your story out to the world in social media, it's really rewarding. You help people, you build connections and relationships, and it's fantastic. The negative part of it is such a small percentage, like who cares? But I just encourage people to do it as a way to diversify your on-farm income and revenue, another business stream, a revenue stream, whether you're doing farmers markets or agritourism or just looking to start a blog that could turn into another part of business as an influencer or speaker. I mean, there's just the sky's the limit with social media career opportunities nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, even if you don't make a career out of it, it's still something to do because everyone's story is different. Everyone's story is unique. So it's so important to make sure that you're sharing that story.
Yeah, for sure. And policy depends on it, you know, like
Definitely.
I just texted a friend of mine a couple days ago, congrats on defeating 309 in Colorado. They were up against the slaughterhouse ban that would have costed the Colorado industry thousands of jobs.
Yes.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it would have been so catastrophic. And I was like on the edge of my seat hoping that they would defeat that bill. When Prop 12 passed in California, the pork housing situation, you know, it costed the pork industry $18 billion. And if you think about policy overall, when people are like, oh, you know, do I really have to share my story? And yes, because everybody votes and politicians need to understand us and hear us and people need to know where their food comes from because farmers are 1% of the population. And without that 1%, what do we have? And we've got to keep the farmers thriving and successful on their farms and keep them in business and make sure that they are appreciated and respected and that policies stay in place and improve to keep farmers profitable and keep them on the land. We've got to stop selling out to developers. You know, it's a tough world out there with urban development and with the cost of doing business. And so that is the hill I will die on is supporting farmers.
Yes. 100%. And I think on that note, we will transition into a couple fun rapid fire questions just to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
What's your go-to? Like, it could be a regional thing that when you go to that region, you're just like, yes, I need to stop and get food here.
Like where I like to eat?
Yeah. So like, is there like a regional, like, or a gas station or fast food restaurant or just something?
Well, I eat at Chick-fil-A a lot, so I'm on Weight Watchers, and I am down 17 pounds so far. And so because I eat healthy, yeah, so I tend to eat pretty healthy. And because of that, I do a lot of Chick-fil-A because their grilled chicken nuggets are 0 points. And they also have fruit and vegetables. They have great salads. They have the kale crunch. So I can get an entire meal for like a point on Weight Watchers. So I'm pretty healthy, I guess. Like when I eat out, it's I eat a lot of sashimi and yeah, lots of like grilled seafood because it's so good for you. And vegetables, fruits and vegetables, scrambled eggs. Yeah.
And that's got to be pretty hard, though, when you're on the road, especially if there's no Chick-fil-A's around or something like that. Trying to
Yeah.
eat on the road is not pleasant.
It's really hard, and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of explaining to people, like when you're at a conference and they give you like a speaker gift and it's a basket full of sweets. And it's just like, oh my God, I cannot put that in my hotel room because I will eat the entire box of chocolate. And that's how I gained 40 pounds to begin with. And then I was like, I have to stop this. Like, I can't just because it's in front of you. And because I fly so much, you get upgraded. And so then you get upgraded to first class, and then you get free drinks and the meals on the planes, and you're in airports and blah, blah, blah. And it's everywhere you go, it's just food is just being shoved at you in all directions. Food, 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 food.
I just got back from a conference and I'm just like, I'm done with food for a little while. Like,
And you know what? Yes. And dairy is my weakness. Thank you, dairy farmers. I love cheese and milk and ice cream are my weaknesses. So, yeah.
but at least,
Dairy.
well, ice cream isn't one of those go-tos. I mean, it's always a go-to for me, but like you're healthy and it's got protein. So,
Yes, but like cheese curds and ice cream will derail my diet in no time. You give me some ice cream, I can't eat the entire tub.
I do love ice cream.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh. Do you have any like hidden talents?
Besides playing the clarinet, I mean, I majored in clarinet performance. I
It
do
is a
love
pretty
the
crazy hidden talent.
yeah, and I do love me some karaoke, and so yeah, I do a really good Eric Cartman impression from South Park.
It's the
So
little things in life.
it's pretty funny. I've been doing it for years, and when you get a few drinks in me at a karaoke bar, one more reason for people to come on the farm cruise. Somebody can hold me accountable to this. If we have some whiskeys on the cruise together and do karaoke, you can say you got to sing "Come Sail Away" by Eric Cartman, and I just might do it. But it is that's my hidden talent is I sound
Oh,
exactly like Eric Cartman.
I didn't know who that was until I just started talking to you. So
South Park? Oh, okay. Well, you better watch
I've
South
heard of
Park.
South Park, but I've never really watched a ton of it. So,
Really? Okay.
yeah.
We got to get some South Park. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. What? Let's see. Do. What's your favorite place you've ever gone outside of the United States?
South Africa.
And where did you go? What did you do?
Oh my God, South Africa was amazing. I was there for 3 weeks last year, and I'm obsessed with travel. Okay, like I've been to 69 countries now on all 7 continents. So I'm like obsessed. I've backpacked through Europe 3 times. I've done Southeast Asia. I've done South America, but South Africa was cool. It was I did a couple safaris. And I went to some farms and I spoke at the Africa Agritech Conference. I got to meet the CEO of John Deere Africa, which was really cool. Yeah, I got to visit some of the largest farms in the Southern Hemisphere. So I toured ZZ2. They have 10,000 employees and they're the largest tomato exporter. So I got to tour their packing houses. They have what they call the Africado, which is really cute marketing for African avocados, but just seeing their local food systems and how when you go to the Johannesburg market, all the farmers bring their goods early in the morning and they set up shop and people just buy direct from the farm at this market and they sell out every day and they will just have tons and tons and tons of fresh produce there just in an open air market and or when it's covered, not necessarily open air, but just like these massive buildings full of produce for people to come shop. So seeing their food system and how different it is from ours was really informative. But we went to like macadamia farms and citrus farms and avocados and tomatoes and I mean, all sorts of cool stuff. And I played a lot of golf, which is another passion hobby of mine. And yeah, all around it, I was with some really great people.
Good. People make all the difference too.
They really do.
They can make or break a trip, especially.
Absolutely.
So what's next on the trip bucket list besides obviously the cruise?
The trip bucket list, like where do I want to go?
Yeah, out of the USA.
Out of the US, for business or for pleasure?
Pleasure, of course.
I want to play golf in Japan is at the top of my list. I hear their golf courses are very pristine. I'd like to go to New Zealand to tour some of those large sheep stations. Let's see, a lot of the other places like Greece, I would like to do Greece someday. Like maybe Dubai is at the top of my list. Turkey sounds really cool, like Istanbul. And I think those are probably at the top of my list.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, and some pretty interesting places.
Yeah, and I'm going to Brazil next year for a business trip, and that is like a confirmed business trip. So I'm also a columnist for Ag Air Update magazine, and I've been writing with them now for probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. Maybe I've been a columnist with them for a long time. And I was just now learning that a lot of my articles have been transcribed into Portuguese this whole time for their sister Brazilian publication, to the point where they want me to come to Brazil and learn about and advocate for Brazilian farms. And from what I understand, some of these farms can just run like 9 combines at a time. Like I'm going to a farm that apparently has like a skyscraper on it. So apparently these farms are just ginormous. And I can't even wrap my head around this until I go. That's something that's happening next year that's going to be really exciting.
Well, I can't wait to see that happen either, because that's so cool.
Yeah, thanks. I'm stoked.
That's definitely going to be a lot of fun. So I like to ask this is a deeper thought question. So you can like think a little deeper on this one. Not like the first rapid fire that we really went down the rabbit hole. So did I answer it wrong? It just very much caught me off guard. I did not expect it to like go that direction. So I was like,
hey, I am fearless, girl.
That's not a bad thing. I like to ask questions from a previous guest, so they leave them not knowing who they are for, but it's just more of like a deeper thought question. So your question is, what is the biggest challenge that you have overcome, and how has it helped you grow?
Going through the breakup was pretty hard, and I think it helped me grow. Breakups suck, man. Like I've never been married or divorced, but I can only imagine what it might be like when you hear about people going through like really awful divorce, which I've never had to do, but knock on wood. But I think just it helped me. Like I ended up, having to do some therapy work and some self-reflection and some self-work. And I think cognitive behavioral therapy has been really great. I recommend therapy for everybody. I think mental health is really important. I don't mind opening up about my story because it helps people realize. I think the more we open up about mental health and our challenges and sadness and struggles in life, the more we realize we're not alone. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times people hold that inside, and it only manifests into physical, emotional, mental pain. And so everybody should be able to open up and really work on your mental health to bring yourself back to your happiness, your happy place, be able to love yourself, to move forward from that.
Very good. Not a good situation, but it's great that you were able to reflect upon it and learn from it and grow from it. And, that you're willing to share your story with others that might be going through a tough time, that don't have that openness or the willingness to go get the help that they need to get through things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. And, vulnerability is a very good thing. It's very important, and it's very, everybody needs to just do a little bit more of that and realize that people aren't alone. Everybody has struggles. My struggle is nothing compared to what some people have struggled with. I mean, like you hear stories about people losing a child or, having a terrible disease or illness. I mean, I don't deal with that. So everybody has struggles. Life is not perfect, and it's okay to just be like, here's what everybody needs to do. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're grieving a loss, and it could be the loss of something like your job. It could be the loss of a pet or something. It can anything that happens in our life that's sad can take you to a really terrible place. And it's okay to just to work on that and go through it in a healthy way, and don't just let it fester and eat you up inside. There's a lot of people out there and resources available to help.
Definitely. And on that note, what is a quote that drives you to be the best person that you can be, that really just speaks to your soul?
Sure. And I was thinking about this, and I think a quote that I'd like to pass on to others is just never underestimate yourself. Never underestimate the power of your own voice, and speaking up can really go a long way to help you and others. And so just never underestimate the power of your voice. That would be my quote.
I like it. And it's very fitting coming from you, who, is such a great voice for agriculture, not just a specific sector of agriculture, but agriculture on a large scale and all of the different types of agriculture. Because, I think that ag is one of those things that's, it's only a small population in the country and the world, but it's so vast, and it has so many different touch points to everybody that they don't realize how intricate and intertwined it really is. So
yeah, very true.
Great advice. I love it. Michelle, do you want to give us one last plug on where people can find you and reach out to you?
Yeah.
All these in the show notes as well.
For sure. So most of my followers are on Facebook. You can search Farm Babe on Facebook. My website is thefarmbabe.com, farmcruise.com to book the cruise or learn more about that. And through thefarmbabe.com, you can read my articles, watch videos, learn more about my role as a social media influencer and speaker in the industry, and follow me on social. So I am at the Farm Babe on every other social media platform.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle. Safe travels, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good weekend, buddy.
Thanks. You too.